as on the material platform, but anything related to Krishna Katha, Nirbande Krishna Sambande. That means anything that's related to Krishna, whether it is the war that's happening on the battlefield, or whether it's the Rasalila with the gopis, or whether it's about his devotees or his transactions with his different devotees. Anything Nirbande Krishna Sambande, anything that's to do with Krishna's relationship is Krishna himself. So when we are engaging in listening to Krishna Katha, it is so auspicious that Krishna says, those devotees who are listening to Krishna Katha, they are not once again coming back into this material world, and they will not again go into the womb of another mother, because those devotees who are listening to Krishna Katha, they go directly to the supreme planet of Krishna, which is called as Krishna Loka. How amazing it is, because people do so many penances and austerities and sacrifices and all of these things. And people who worship Brahma or people who worship Shiva, they can go up to the maximum level of Brahmaloka. Brahmaloka is the highest in the material world. But Krishna is promising that not only Brahmaloka, he is promising something much, much even superior than that. Because it is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, Abrahma bhavana loke punar avartanarjuna mamupeti tu kaunteya punarjanma na vidyate. Krishna says up to the level of even Brahma Loka, even if you do some very auspicious things and you're worshipping Brahma and go to the highest planet of Brahma Loka, Krishna says even those planets of Brahma Loka, they are also places of misery, where there's a repeated life and death and old age. Everything happens even on those higher planets. But what Krishna is promising is that when we listen to Hari Katha, and when we listen to that, he is not only promising Brahmaloka, but he's saying this goes much above the material universe. You go into the spiritual one, directly into the Krishna Loka. And once we reach over there, you get back your original spiritual body, the four-arm Narayana form, and then you would not be coming back again into this material world. So that is the kind of benediction that Krishna is giving us. And Prabhupada asked his disciple, which is the best sloka in Bhagavad Gita? Then so Prabhupada has mentioned that this Janma Karma Cha Me Divyam is the best sloka, because it's a sloka which is telling us directly that you will not come back into the womb of another mother if you're listening to this Krishna Katha. So everything is Krishna Katha, whether it is Bhagavatam, whether we're hearing Bhagavad Gita, any of this, anything, like I said, Nirbande, Krishna Sambande, anything that's related to Krishna is Krishna himself. So we had to dive into the Krishna Katha with that, in that mood of devotion, with that spiritual understanding that it is completely, everything is relating to Krishna is very, very auspicious. So Hare Krishna, Sanchitji, thank you for joining us. Always very
Hare
auspicious.
Krishna Prabhu, Dhanyavad Pranam to all the devotees.
Always
Nice to be there in the Sangha.
a joy to always have your association. Thank you for joining us. I was just wondering, maybe to start with, Sanchitji, I was telling earlier that Ramana Prabhu is not joining us till he's got a meeting seminar tomorrow, and then he's going off to India for a month. So he's going to be joining us back only in April.
Oh, Hari, well, glad to know that he's going to India.
Yeah, he's going to Vrindavan.
Oh, wow, that's so nice. Very blessed.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask anyone who would like to do Mangalacharan, Sanchitji or Prabhu, anyone?
Yes, Prabhu, I can do it. Yeah.
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथं वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं साद्वभूतं परिजनसहित कृष्ण चैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिसिद्धान्त सरस्वती नामिने। Prabhu, Namo. Prabhu, do we do all these?
No, I think we can just go directly with the normal, regular way. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Forgot the flow where.
Yes, I think
One,
still Namaste
one.
Saraswati Devi.
Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha forgot.
Shita Desh Tarini.
I forgot.
Yeah, Ashita Desh Tarini. Then Sri Krishna.
Saturday Pata
Yeah,
Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine
Jai Shri Krishna.
Jai
Chaitanya.
Shri Krishna no we have to do it. तप्त कंचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानु सुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये हे कृष्ण just forgot the flow. God,
Bandhu.
I'm sorry, Prabhu, for the flow. Hey Krishna, Karuna Sindhu, Deenabandhu, Jagatpate, Gopesha, Gopika Kanta, Radha Kanta, Namastute. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Vadadhara Shivashadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Chidaji.
My
It is
apologies for this, Prabhu. When I do it with eyes closed, it comes naturally.
yeah.
But when I was looking, the flow in the mind of the prayers got mixed up. Sorry about that.
No,
Sorry.
no, no. I totally understand. I'm like that as well. When the flow goes, like sometimes we just think about because we got so used to the flow, isn't it?
Yeah, so like when we're doing, we're not looking at the screen. So
Yeah,
on our own, when we do it, it comes naturally. But seeing other prayers in the mind, it got a bit. Sorry
yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
yeah. I know. And each of the websites, right? They show in a different format actually. Like sometimes they include like a lot of other ones as well. But all glories.
It should not. It's not right. It shouldn't be happening. So yeah, sorry. My apologies.
No, no problem at all, Sanjay. It's nice that you have done that. And it's always nice to take invoke the blessings of all our acharyas because especially the Vedic knowledge or Srimad Bhagavatam, it's all coming in a descending form right from our acharyas. And in fact, Krishna says that even the first knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, he's given it to the sun god. Imam vivasvate yogam proktavan hamavyam. First told this Bhagavad Gita to the sun god, Krishna says. So like that the knowledge is being passed on from our gurus and Guru Parampara and so it's very important for us to just invoke the blessing because on our own, making the effort is different. But when we invoke the blessings of Krishna and the gurus, obviously we take the strength from them and they will get the knowledge. They will give us the knowledge and to engage in this Krishna Katha. It is with their power that we can accomplish. Even when Prabhupada went to US, he had so much of faith that his guru, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur and like and Guru Parampara, but they were always there with him. He always had that faith that all the Guru Parampara they were there with him to support every time. And no matter, and no wonder Prabhupada has accomplished so much in such a short time, building 108 temples in a span of 10 years time because the gurus were always there with the Guru Parampara were always there with them. The Panchatattvas, the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's blessings was all there. So it's very, very important that more than our own strength and our own knowledge, we should always take the blessings of a Guru Parampara. So having said that, I will just do the quick prayer of Kirtan of Jai Radha Madhava, and then we will dive into the Krishna book. Jai Radha Madhava, Jai Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava, Jai Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Girvaradari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Girvaradari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna
प्रतिशब्दने से हम
Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. So, so yeah, this is a beautiful prayer which we always do before we start off our Krishna Katha. So nice to get started off and see the beautiful deities of Radha Krishna over here, Radha Madhava. So we are diving into this chapter, which is, we already started off with this chapter called chapter 60, talks between Krishna and Rukmini. So we are seen right from the beginning on the first chapter itself, Krishna's life, Krishna's activities, Krishna's beautiful divine pastime. They are all so spiritual, and there's so much of nectar as we keep diving into this Krishna book, which is taken from Bhagavatam canto number 10. And every chapter is like so much of takeaways that we have. We can learn from the moral of the story. We can learn about how Krishna dealing with his devotees, how Krishna is always constantly reciprocating to the love of his devotees. We are so blessed to be born in Sanatan Dharma, where we not only just know about God as some God sitting somewhere, but we know that God has a name, God has a form. God's name is Krishna. God has a form, Satchitananda Vigraha. That means God has a form. Krishna makes it very, very clear, always worship me in my personal form. Mayavasya mano yemam nitya yukta upashate shraddhaya paro yopeta tame yukta tamamata. Krishna always say, between the options of worshipping an impersonal form or a formless God and the option of worshipping God in a personal form, Krishna says, always worship me in my personal form, in the deity form, in the Archa Vigraha form. So here we are trying to go through the pastimes of Krishna, who is the supreme Lord of the universe, who's got a form, who's got a name, and he's got divine pastimes. And we are all part and parcel of the Krishna in minute quantities. But we have to understand that there is a difference. Krishna says, Mamaivamsa Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, Mana Shastrin Indriyani, Prakriti Stani Parshat. Krishna says, is explaining about the beautiful relationship that we all have with Krishna. We are all caught up in this material world, thinking, okay, I'm an Indian, I'm a European, I'm an American, I'm this, I'm a wife, I'm a doctor, and we have so many different roles, but we have forgotten our actual role and our actual the personality, a higher identity. Because like when we join a company, we get a temporary identity of an ID card. But Krishna is talking about our actual identity, that we are part and parcel of Krishna. We all belong to Krishna. Just like how our hands and legs are part and parcel of me, every Jivatma, not just like human beings, but every Atma on this planet is part and parcel of the Supreme Paramatma. But Krishna says why we are struggling is because we have fallen into this material world, which means we don't actually belong to this material world. We belong to the spiritual world, but we have fallen into this material world, which is consisting of these three gunas: mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. And because we have been conditioned by these three gunas, we have forgotten our relationship with Krishna. And this Krishna consciousness and this Hari Katha is to, once again, helps us in re-establishing our relationship with Krishna. It helps us in developing a personal knowledge about Krishna. Through the divine pastimes, we not only know about Krishna's form, but we are also trying to understand what are the qualities of Krishna, how Krishna is dealing with his devotees, and how Krishna is called as Atma Rama. Atma Rama means he is always self-satisfied. Krishna doesn't need anything at all from this material world. But when he comes into this material world, he just behaves like an ordinary human being, and he's always reciprocating to the love of his devotees. When Rukmini sends a love letter saying that, Krishna, I only want to marry you, Krishna says, okay, I will come and marry you. And he takes his chariot, picks up Rukmini and marries him. Similarly, like any devotees who are just craving, all the 16,000 queens who have been imprisoned by Bhaumashira, they request Krishna, Krishna, please, we want to marry you only. We don't want to marry anyone except you. Then Krishna accepts. Not only that Krishna accepts, Krishna himself manifests into 16,000 Krishnas, 16,100 Krishnas, and marries each and every of the princes and builds up a mighty palace for each one of them. So we have to understand that these are all divyam, janma karma cha me divyam. Every karma that Krishna is doing is divyam, to be understood on a spiritual platform. So no, this chapter is basically talking about the beautiful dealings between Krishna and Rukmini. And we seen, just a quick recap is that Krishna seen that, there were two wives. One is like Satyabhama, who was like, Krishna took Satyabhama to Indra Loka, and then he given a parijata. She was given a parijata by Indra, and then Rukmini did not react anything, that she was not jealous about it and things like that. So now Krishna is trying to play like a nice like a husband, trying to speak to Rukmini in so many ways. He's just trying to test her, like, does she get angry at all, what is her mood? And he says so many things. He tells Rukmini, you know what, you are so pretty and you had so many people who are actually so keen on marrying you, but unnecessarily you came and married me, but actually I'm not really worthy of it. You should have married Shishupal, you should have married Jadasan, you could have married so many else. You had so many beautiful people who are like, actually, and you are like, you look so beautiful and you look so pretty and you are a princess. And I think, Rukmini, you made a mistake of marrying me. And this is like Krishna trying to just anger her, to see, like, how is she going to get reacted? Is she going to get angry and react and things like that? And we've seen that last week, where Krishna is, Krishna's experience that Rukmini was offered a parijata by Narada Muni, and Satyabhama had become envious. Yeah, we've seen this. And she could not be pacified. And then, yeah, later we see that Satyabhama gets, this parijata tree as well. So here we've seen that in the previous sessions, we've seen that Krishna is trying to instigate Rukmini to see how she's going to react, by telling her, like, in comparison to Shishupala, I'm nothing, and why did you marry me, Rukmini? Because there's much, much better people than things like that. And then, he was telling, like, I'm not at all a polished person. See, I went and married 16,000 wives. How could I could do such something like that? I don't know, have a proper aim of life and things like that. And I'm so penniless. I have earned nothing at all. I do not know my aim of life. So Krishna is trying to downplay himself and trying to instigate and trying to anger Rukmini, just to see, like, how she's going to react. It's so beautiful to see that Krishna, the Supreme Lord, also has this kind of a personality where, he's just trying to test his wife, Rukmini, and just by telling her so many things. And he's trying to tell her that, Rukmini, even now also it is not late. Even now you can take a decision. You can leave me and marry one of those those well-accomplished princes and prince, and get separated and things like that. So he was just trying to see, like, what is going to be her reaction. And then, as we've seen, like, Rukmini, the thing is, like, Krishna is always trying to teach a lesson. We've seen that earlier also in the chapters, that when gopis were feeling very proud that Krishna is always spending time with us and we have Krishna with him and things like that. And when the gopis were started feeling proud, Krishna suddenly vanished from the gopis, and the gopis started searching, my God, Krishna, where are you? And they start crying. And then that's why we have this beautiful song called Gopi Geet, right? Jayati te dekam janmana vraja. So that beautiful song where the gopis are crying for Krishna. Krishna, where are you? We are just searching for you. Please come back. And then, so that is to put down their pride of the gopis, because the gopis are feeling very proud that, Krishna is always there with them. So now, again, another incident is happening here, where Rukmini, he just wants to, Sukadev Goswami remarks that Krishna was always spending most of his time with Rukmini, right? So Rukmini was a bit proud that Krishna is, Krishna is giving more importance to her, and that he's always with Krishna only, that she's always with Krishna, and Krishna is always spending more time with Rukmini. So now he wants to just put her into that kind of anxiety, to tell her that, Rukmini, I think it's time we part ways, and why don't you just go and marry one of those princes and all that? I'm not worthy of you and things like that. And so Krishna started doing that, the drama of just trying to instigate her and all these things. So, but you can see here, we just covered a bit and saying that Rukmini was very conscious that Krishna is not an ordinary human being. Bhoktaram yajana tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram. He is the supreme Lord of all the three worlds, right? Bhoktaram Yunapam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. He is the Lord of all the world. By the way he was speaking, she was afraid. Rukmini was very afraid of being separated from Krishna because she never heard Krishna speaking like this. So she was started fearing, and the heart started palpitating, and things like that. She started scratching the floor with the toenails. I mean, um, actually, Vyasadeva has given us this beautiful Bhagavatam, which is like, I mean, with the kind of intricate details, like, can you see this? How Rukmini is scratching the floor with her toenails, because this is a normal symptom, like, of someone who's in anxiety, right? Because she just heard from Krishna that Krishna wants to get separated. And so her immediate reaction is she's become scratching the floor with the toenails, and she's full of anxiety, and she's crying in anxiety, and the tears coming from her eyes and stuff like that. And so Krishna immediately realized that Rukmini has not taken his words in a jokingly spirit, and because obviously, like, sometimes guys may joke, like how Krishna is joking, but sometimes women they can be very emotional, and they just, obviously she's not taking it lightly, because Krishna is here. He's talking about the most unbearable thing for Rukmini, that is to get separated, and that she should leave Krishna and go and marry someone else. So Lord Krishna is very affectionate towards his devotees, because Krishna is one of the name of Krishna in Vishnu Sahasranam is called as Bhakta Vatsala, someone who always cares for the welfare of his devotees, right? He's called as Bhakta Vatsala. He always cares for his devotee. So at once when he seen Rukmini's condition, and immediately Krishna's heart softened. So it's very beautiful to see the different personality traits in Krishna. On one side, Krishna can be as hard as anything in dealing with these demoniac people, right? With Putana and with the Bakasura and Kamsa and Hiranyakashipu. I mean, like, sorry, uh, with some of these people whom we went and put an end to, like Sushipal also, and Rukmi and things, people like that. But at the same time, when it comes to his devotees, he's so soft as a candle, like he just melts. So you can see that when Rukmini was, her face was full of anxiety, and her condition was become so this thing, his heart immediately softens, and at once Krishna became very merciful towards Rukmini. And the relationship between Rukmini and Krishna was like that between Lakshmi and Narayan. So we said, like, there's two, so the different personalities, right? So the relationship between Radha and Krishna is just something like a beautiful relationship of a, a story between a boy and a girl in a village atmosphere. It's completely in a village atmosphere and I think. But here, Rukmini and Krishna, we're talking about life in the Dwarka, and we're talking about the opulent life between both Krishna and Rukmini is comparable to the Lakshmi Narayan. In fact, we see that most of our ISKCON temples, the way the vibrant dressing that has been done for Radha and Krishna is in the mood of Lakshmi and Narayan. It's very opulent, and very. It's not simply like like a place like Vrindavan. It's not dressed up like something like in Vrindavan, but it's always very opulent. So Krishna appeared before Rukmini in this four-handed manifestation of Narayana. So we can see that Krishna does not always display his four-arm Narayana form. So we can see that Krishna is the source of all the Vishnu tattvas. Garbhodakshai Vishnu, Shirodakshai Vishnu, Karodakshai Vishnu. So all Krishna is the source of all the Vishnu tattvas. And Radharani is the source of all the Shakti tattvas. So that's why we say Krishna is a Paripurna avatar. That means if you're worshipping Krishna, it's like worshipping the roots of a tree. All the devatas, all the expansions, everybody becomes satisfied just by worshipping Krishna. And so here, Krishna, we've seen earlier in multiple instances where Krishna showed his four-armed Narayana form. And the very first thing beginning is, as soon as he came into this world, we know that Krishna showed his four-armed Narayana form to his mother Devaki. And Devaki was very worried, like, seeing his four-armed Narayana form, she was worried more about, because at the end of the day, she's looking at Krishna as a son. So he's worried, like, what Kamsa is going to do to the Krishna. So she requests Krishna, please come back into your two-hand ordinary form and not the four-arm Narayana form. And we see in other places also he showed his four-arm Narayan form in front of Muchukonda. He's one of his devotees in the cave. When Krishna appeared before his devotee, Muchukonda forgot about Krishna, that he was a devotee of Krishna. But Krishna remembered, even though Muchukonda forgot about it from his previous life. And Krishna showed his four-arm Narayana form to Muchukonda, right? Because he was a very pure devotee. So Krishna gives this four-arm Narayana form in a very exceptional circumstances where he showed. And we also know that in Bhagavad Gita also, when Krishna showed his universal form to Arjuna, And then he shows the universal form, and then he comes to this Swaram Narayan form, and then again he comes back into his normal form as well. So he got down, Krishna got down from the bedstead, lifted Rukmini with her hands, by her hands, and placing his cooling hands, and he smoothened the scattered hair. It's such a wonderful way of pampering, isn't it? So Krishna is so kind and so beautiful, like, the way he is handling her. In the beginning, he's just kind of like saying all kind of words just to instigate and see what's going to be her reaction, because she was feeling a bit proud that Krishna is always there with him. So he's trying to teach her a lesson that, his devotees, like, in the mood of separation, that not to take Krishna's for granted, that, that he's always with them. So he lifted, and Krishna dried, understanding the seriousness. He embraced her to the chest. So this is a very natural reflection, isn't it? So some of the things, if you see, because we are part and parcel of Krishna, we have those minute qualities that Krishna has in that. This is a natural thing, isn't it? Like when a husband is trying to pacify his wife, the most natural thing you would expect is, like, he's going to hug her to his heart and kind of like, clear her tears and maybe just comfort her, and which is what Krishna is, because everything, this material world is a perverted reflection of what's happening in the spiritual world. What happens in the spiritual world is the actual thing, but what's happening in the material world is just a reflection of what happens in the spiritual world. So the Supreme Personality, Krishna, is an expert in putting things reasonably for one's understanding, and thus he tried to retract all that he has said before. So Krishna says all kind of things to Rukmini, and now he's trying to retract all the things he has said before. He is only resort for his devotee. So for his devotees, there is nothing else. He is the only resort, right? He is the only thing that they want in their life. And we've seen that when Dhruva Maharaj, he was doing so much of intense meditation and prayers and chanting and namasmarana for so many months he did. And when finally Krishna appeared in front of him, he was like completely lost interest in all the material things. Dhruva Maharaj said, Krishna, I only want you. Kritartho Swami Varam Navacha. I don't want anything else, Krishna. I only want you. And this is what happens when you become a pure devotee of Krishna. You are not interested in anything in the material world, but you only want you. And we've seen that with the Muchukonda also. Muchukonda was when he seen the forearm Narayan form of Krishna, Muchukonda, his devotee said, I do not want anything from this material world. I just need your blessings, kind of thing. So this is how pure devotees are. They don't want anything else. They just want the love of Krishna, because the love of Krishna itself is so fulfilling that you don't need anything, because most of the time we are looking for things in this material world just to give us happiness. But the ultimate happiness comes from fixing our mind on Krishna. So Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, so those who fix their mind on Krishna, they attain the highest transcendental pleasure and love for Krishna. So it is not that, the highest pleasure can be derived only in the spiritual world when we are engaging in divine service towards Krishna. Prasanta manasa hayenam yoginam sukhamuttamam. So Krishna is saying, when you fix your mind on Krishna, you will attain the highest transcendental pleasure of or happiness in your life. So Krishna here understood that that Rukmini, she hasn't taken it in a nice thing. She's quite serious about that, and she's full of anxiety. So he made it in a jokingly way to counteract the confusion. So Krishna now speaks to Rukmini. So it's so beautiful, because in Bhagavatam, it is just not like in a proper story format, but we literally have quote unquote the dialogues between Krishna and Rukmini. So here, quote unquote, what Krishna is telling Rukmini: my dear daughter of King Vidarbha, my dear Rukmini, please do not misunderstand me. Don't be unkind to me like this. I know that you are sincerely and seriously attached to me. You are my eternal companion. The words which have affected you so much are not factual, because Krishna is just, he didn't mean by what he's saying. I wanted to irritate you a bit, and I was expecting you to make counter answers to those joking words. Unfortunately, you have taken them seriously. I'm very sorry for it. I expected that your red lips would tremble in anger when you heard my statement, and that you would chastise me with so many words. Oh, perfection of love, I never expected that your condition would be like this. I expected that you would cast your blinking glance upon me in retaliation, and I would thus be able to see the beautiful face in the angry mood. So this was Krishna's expectation. You see, what Krishna was expecting is that when he was trying to instigate and make her angry by telling her, I'm hopeless, I'm not at all good as a husband, I'm so inferior, Rukmini, why did you choose me? You should have chosen somebody else. you see, I don't have anything, I don't have a proper aim in life and stuff like that. So Krishna, when he was expecting that she's going to come with counter answers to everything that he has said, and he would be able to see Rukmini in a very serious mood, the beautiful face in an angry mood. So this is Krishna's desire, right? Krishna's desire was that to see Rukmini in a very angry mood. But unfortunately, Rukmini was not in that. She was kind of like more in anxiety, more than getting angry, because she was like so nervous because she never seen Krishna speaking like this. And for the first time, Krishna is speaking like this. He's trying to tell her, like, let's part ways and you go your way. Krishna didn't mean it. He was just trying to poke her. My dear beautiful wife, Rukmini, you know that because we are householders, we are always busy in many household affairs and long for a time that we enjoy some joking words between us. So it can't be more beautiful than this, isn't it? You see how Krishna is so personal, right? He's just trying to show how personal he is in his dealings with his devotees. That is our ultimate gain in a householder life. That's a typical thing in a householder life, right? Because they're so busy and engaged in so many things. They're dropping their children. You can see in our devotees' life also, like, I have immense respect for our devotees, married devotees who are juggling so many balls, like, just managing the family life, taking care of the kids and doing that, and also spending time for Krishna Katha, which makes me so amazed, like so much of dedication, how you can manage to do things like. But so this Krishna is saying that we are always busy in our household affairs, and for a long time we can enjoy some joking word, because that kind of lightens up the atmosphere when you just have crack a joke and just have a laugh together. Otherwise, sometimes with so many responsibilities, it can get overwhelming, isn't it? And that's the game. So Krishna is saying, like, having a joke in a life between us as a householders, we can, this is the ultimate gain of a householder life. And actually, householders work very hard day and night. And I totally agree on that. But all fatigue of the day's labor is minimized as soon as they meet husband and wife together, enjoy life in many ways. That's right, isn't it? When you have a beautiful home and you have kids, and when you have nice wife and husband who have a good relationship, and while you're working, also back of your mind, you're always thinking, oh my God, you can't wait till the clock hits 5 so that you can just head back home and just have some good time in the evening, have a lunch, dinner together, have a nice some time with the family and things like that. These are the small perks of married life that people look out to. And Krishna wanted to exhibit himself as being like an ordinary householder who delights himself by exchanging joking words with his wife. You see that Krishna was trying to do this like a prankster. He was just trying to instigate his wife and just to have a laugh. Let's to have a joke and see, like, just keep poking, and, just like a husband who's like, a mischievous husband. He therefore repeatedly requests Rukmini not to take those words very seriously. Now he's done all the things, Krishna, and put her in anxiety. And now Krishna is trying to retract his words and saying, like, don't take my words seriously. I was just joking. And he's just comparing himself, saying that, we just like many other household affairs, and this is what happens, Gareth. So it's so beautiful to see, like, we can, I'm sure, like, a lot of us can relate to, because we come from families, and we can relate to, like, how families always, sometimes we have different personalities, and sometimes in family you always have one person who's serious and one person who's having a jovial mood, cracking a joke and just having a good time together as a family. So all this is because we are part and parcel of Krishna, and this is what it is in the spiritual world, which we are seeing a small reflection in the material world. Like a tree which is near the banks of a river. The actual tree, the reflection is there in the water, but that reflection in the water is not the actual tree. The actual tree is there on the ground, and that actual tree is in the spiritual world. So that's a comparison. So in this way, Lord Krishna pacified Rukmini by sweet words. She could understand that what he had said formally was not actually meant seriously, but was spoken to evoke some jokingly pleasure between themselves. So we can see that Rukmini is able to understand, because Krishna, one of the qualities of Krishna is he's so gentle in his words, and he knows how to, Krishna is such a charmer. He's just so attractive, isn't it? The very, very name Krishna means all attractive in Sanskrit, right? So he can attract anyone. He can attract the goddesses of fortune. Rukmini is none other than the goddesses of fortune. And even the goddesses of fortune can find so much of joy in just listening to Krishna, and that he's pacifying her. And he understood that whatever Krishna was speaking was in a very jokingly pleasure between themselves. So therefore, Rukmini was therefore pacified by hearing Krishna's words. So she's able to be, she was comforted by Krishna, and she was being able to pacify because the how nicely he reciprocated, and he was holding her and he was just trying to pacify her. Gradually, she was freed. Yeah, she was freed from all the fears of separation from him. So finally, because she was her instant reaction was that she was in anxiety. She started, rubbing her toenails on the floor and things like that. So, but now she's understood that okay, Krishna was only joking. I mean, this happens in our day-to-day life, isn't it? Somebody sometimes um, they can be great actors and they just try to say something very seriously, like, and then we take it so seriously, and finally they just say, "Oh, I'm just joking. I just wanted to see your reaction on your face. That's all, but I don't really mean it," kind of thing. And then you'll be like, you may get angry because this person has said, and then finally you are like the very next reaction will be like, okay, you understand that okay, this is not true, that's not true, kind of thing. So you're a bit relaxed. So Rukmini is a bit relaxed now because she was pacified by the words of Krishna. Gradually she was feared from the fear of separation, and she began to look at his face very cheerfully with a naturally smiling face. Can you see the charm, the relationship between the wife and husband, which is happening here between Krishna and Rukmini, that even though Krishna was trying to instigate her and try to poke her, but Krishna, how nicely Rukmini is reciprocating. She's kind of like cheerfully looking at him with a naturally smiling face, and how Krishna is actually dealing with the situation, trying to pacify her. And now she is trying to, instead of getting angry, trying to nicely respond with a cheerful, smiling face. And now Rukmini says, quote unquote, "My dear lotus-eyed Lord, your statements that we are not a fit combination is completely right. It is not possible for me to come in an equal level with you, for you are the reservoir of all qualities, the unlimited supreme personality of Godhead. How can I ever be fit match for you? There is no possibility of comparison with you. You are the master of all greatness, the controller of the three qualities, and the object of worship for great demigods like Brahma and Lord Shiva. As far as I am concerned, I am a product of the three modes of material nature, which impede the progressive advancement of the devotional service. When and where can I be a fit match for you? My dear husband, you have rightly said that you have taken shelter in the water of a sea, that is Dwarka, as if you were afraid of the kings. But who are the kings of this material world? I do not think that the so-called royal families are kings of the material world. The kings of this material world are the three modes of material nature, that is the three gunas, who are actually its controllers. Krishna, you are situated in the core of everyone's heart, where you remain completely aloof from the touch of the three modes of material nature, and there is no doubt about it. Now you can see that in this chapter, we had many paragraphs of Krishna trying to, in so many different ways, trying to instigate Rukmini. But now it's Rukmini's turn. First, she's reciprocating to Krishna. Krishna pacified her, and she's smiling. And now Rukmini is saying, like, in a smiling way. I mean, what a beautiful way of relationship, right? How nicely, I mean, in today's material world, with so much of stress that is there in the family life, we hit out and show sometimes, when we are having a bad day at work, we kind of like show all that in our family. We show that anger on somebody in the family members, and show on the wife, or wife showing on the husband. And there's no peace of mind because the stress that you are in the workplace is spilling over into your dining halls and into your bedroom. But here you can see like how nice the dealings that are happening between Krishna and Rukmini, and how nice even she's also reciprocating. And now, as Krishna was actually downplaying himself in the beginning, saying, "I'm not worthy of you, Rukmini." Now Rukmini is saying that the same thing to Krishna. Krishna, my dear, I'm not. You're right that we are not a right combination, because Krishna earlier said that we are not. I don't think we are a right combination. Rukmini, you're much superior to me. You're more beautiful. You are a king's daughter, and you're this thing and all that. Now Rukmini is again doing the same thing to Krishna. She's saying, "Yeah, you're right. Actually, what you said, we are really not a right pair, actually, because how can I come to your equal level of you? You are the supreme Lord of the Lord, Devadi Deva." You are the God of all the gods. You are the reservoir of all the qualities. Everything is emanating from Krishna, isn't it? And how can I be match for you? There's nobody equal to Krishna, the unlimited supreme Lord of Krishna. Mata paratam nanyat kinchid asti dhananjaya mai sarvam idam protam sutre maniganaiva. Krishna says, Arjuna, there's nothing more superior than me. Everything is, the whole cosmic universe is resting on me, just like as a beautiful pearl strings. pearl, a necklace of pearls is resting on the strings within it. Similarly, the whole cosmic universe is resting on me. So Krishna is the Supreme Lord. And so Krishna here, Rukmini is kind of like glorifying Krishna and downplaying herself. Yeah, you're right, Krishna. We are not actually a right combination, because fit combination, where are you and where am I? There is no comparison at all. You're the master of all greatness. And Krishna actually explained in Bhagavad Gita all these things, right? Bhoktaram yajana tapasam sarva loka maheshwaram suhridam sarva bhutanam gyatamam shantim richate. He is the supreme enjoyer. He is the supreme enjoyer of all the sacrifices. He is the supreme. He is the Lord of all the worlds, and he is the Lord of all the demigods. And what is there a comparison? There's no comparison at all. The controller of all the three qualities and the worship, even the demigod like Brahma and Lord Shiva worship. Sometimes, in English, maybe they may not have an equivalent word like, demigod people, sometimes they get offended. But that is just to say that, yeah, they are not the supreme controller, because the supreme controller is Krishna. Krishna is called as Ishvara. Ishvara means supreme controller. Ishvara sarva bhutanam hrideshi arjuna tishtati. That supreme Lord Krishna is sitting in everyone's heart. And even seen that even Brahma is worshipping Krishna, right? Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchitananda Vigraha Anadir Adi Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. Brahma is worshipping Krishna. You are the supreme controller. You are the supreme master of this world. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchitananda Vigraha. You are full of eternal. You are eternal. You are full of knowledge and you are full of bliss, and you have Satchitananda Vigraha. You have a form. Anadir Adi Govinda. So even Brahma, the great, he's also worshipping Krishna, right? And Aradhanam Sarvesham Vishnu Aradham Paramam. Krishna, even Lord Shiva says of all the the worship, that is the worship of Vishnu is the topmost. Lord Shiva is telling that. Right? And Krishna say, and Lord Shiva says in Gita Mahatyam, right? Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Getam, Eko Devo Devaki Putra Eko Mantrasya Tasya Namani Karmape Ekatasya Deva. If there is have to, Lord Shiva is telling in Gita Mahatyam, if there has to be, in Gita Mahatyam, Lord Shiva says, if there has to be only one Supreme Lord to worship, that is Bhagavan Sri Krishna. Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Getam. If there has to be only one supreme literature in Sanatana Dharma, that is Bhagavad Gita. So like that, even Lord Shiva is glorifying Krishna. And as far as Krishna is concerned, Rukmini is concerned, she's a product of the three modes of material. We all know that these three modes of material nature is the biggest impediment towards devotional service, because we are all conditioned by these three modes. What are these three modes of material nature? The three modes of material nature are mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. Or in other words, it is called as Sattva Guna, Rajoguna, and Tamoguna. And these three gunas are constantly are controlling us in this material world. And they are the ones which are causing us impediment towards devotional service. We all want to do bhakti, but these gunas are holding us back. They are making us dance like puppets. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Prakriti Kriya Manani Gunai Karmani Sharvashaha Ahankara Vimudatma Kartaha Miti Manyate. He says that we as a spirit soul, under the influence of false ego, we think that we are doing all the activities. But in actuality, everything is being done by the three modes of material nature. So if these three gunas are making us dance like puppets in this material world, morning you feel like being very spiritual and you try to recite all the mantras. We say Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya in the morning. And in the evening, again, the gunas is in the mode of tamoguna. It's in the mode of ignorance. And then then you'll say Om Namo Netflixaya Namaha, or maybe some Amazon. So totally you are inclined into watching movies in the evening time. So even the day is also divided into mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Like that, everything, if you see inside us and outside us, we are covered by these three gunas, right? Sometimes you feel like in the mode of goodness, you feel like doing something nice. And sometimes just knowingly and unknowingly, we say a harsh word, or knowingly we do something wrong, So we are being, and these gunas is something which is holding us back from advancement of devotional service. So that's why it's very important that Krishna says, Traigunya Visaya Veda, Nistraigunyo Bhavarjana. Arjuna try to rise above these three modes of material nature. So Krishna's advice to Arjuna, so Arjuna, you're all like puppets in the hands of this material nature, but you have to rise above all these three modes of material. That's what Krishna says. So, and here Rukmini is saying, where can I be a fit for you, Krishna? I'm a product of these three modes, of these three gunas, and you are the Supreme Lord. You're above these three gunas. So where can I be a match? I am product of these three material, but you are above all these things. So how can you? And my dear husband, you are rightly said that you are taking shelter in the water of the sea. You know, as we all know, Krishna, in order to protect the people of Mathura, he transfers the entire, he creates a city called Dwaraka in the middle of the sea, and he transfers by his yogic power, by his powers, he transfers the people of Mathura into the city of Dwaraka. How can anybody do? And then he gets Vishwakarma to build this entire city of Dwaraka. I mean, this is Bhagavan Sri Krishna, isn't it? Is he's capable, he can do anything. And so he takes from the he takes up a beautiful city from the water, and finally when the whole avatar is done and when Krishna leaves, he gives it back, and the water and the whole city goes into the water. It's just like the sea taking claiming back the city that has been built. But basically, but Krishna tells Rukmini, you see what I have done. I was scared of Jarasandha and I went and created a Dwaraka. He's just he was joking that with Rukmini, right, earlier. So now she's saying like, yeah, you have rightly said that you are taking shelter in the water of the sea, because Krishna was telling Rukmini, see, I'm so afraid and I had to create one city called Dwaraka, but which is not true actually. Krishna is never afraid of anyone. He is the Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. But who are the kings of this material world? Rukmini is asking, who are the kings of this material world? Are these people who are like Jarasandha and Shishupala? Are these the kings of the material world? No, I don't think so. I don't think any of these people like Rukmini's brother, or Jarasandha, or Shishupal, or Kamsa. These are not the king. These are not the kings of the material world. The actual kings of this material world are the three modes of material nature. They are the actual controllers. How true, isn't it? So Rukmini is, can you imagine in Dwapara Yuga, everybody was so intelligent. Spiritually, they were so clever and they were so smart. So Rukmini, she's the goddess of fortune, and she's saying the actual kings in this material world are not the kings who are ruling. They are not Jarasandha, they are not Kamsa, but the actual kings of this material world are the gunas, Sattva Guna, Rajoguna, and Tamoguna. These three gunas are the actual kings in this material, because they are the ones who are controlling everything and keeping everybody dancing to the tunes. Sometimes problems come in our life, even if we don't want, also the problems come, because everything is being done by this material nature. This material nature, which consists of three modes, then it suddenly gives us some kind of situation. And then again, it makes us give us some happy situation. And we are dancing according to the tunes of the material, thinking that if something nice happens, then we say, like, we under the false ego thinking, yeah, it's because of me. And if something goes wrong, again, we're like, oh my God, how could I do this? So we are being conditioned by these three gunas, but actually everything is being done by the three gunas. Daivesha gunamaya mama maya durateya mamaye pravartante mayametam taranti. Krishna says this divine energy or this material nature, Arjuna, is very, very difficult to cross. But anybody who has taken shelter of me, they can cross these three modes of material nature. So here Rukmini is recognizing that all the jivatmas, we are under the control of this material energy, which are actually like the kings. Mayeva mana adatsva mayi buddhim niveshaya nivasisyasi mayeva ata urdhvam na samsayaha. So Krishna is telling about this, that we are being controlled by this material energy, which is making us dance like a puppets, but that material energy is in the hands of Krishna. So Krishna is saying this material energy is working according to my direction, Arjuna. It is keeping you all in control, but that material energy is working according to my direction. So according to what Krishna's direction, this material energy. So it is under the control of Krishna. So this material energy is not independent. It's making us dance to a tune, but it's in the control of Krishna. So here Rukmini is saying they are the actual controllers, these three gunas, and it's so true. But how do we overcome these three gunas? How can we, transcend these three gunas? Because that's what Krishna is telling in Bhagavad Gita, that we have to go from Tamoguna to Rajoguna to Sattva-guna. Not only Sattva-guna, we have to rise up to Suddha Sattva-guna. Like, Brahma Muhurta is, like if you take a whole day, morning is in the mode of Sattva-guna, afternoon Rajoguna, and night Tamoguna. But early morning Brahma Muhurta is in the mode of Suddha Sattva-guna. That means mode of pure goodness. Not just goodness, but pure goodness. Like that. Right? So Rukmini is saying you are situated in the core of everyone's heart. Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hridesha Arjuna Tishtati. Krishna tells Arjuna, I'm seated in everyone's heart, Krishna. Krishna tells. Jivanam Sarva Bhuteshu. I'm the life behind every life. So a lot of people out of ignorance say, what has Krishna done for me? What has Krishna done for you? You're breathing because of Krishna. Every breath that you take, every movement that you make, it's because Krishna is sitting in your heart and giving you that facility to even breathe. Jivanam Sarva Bhuteshu. He is the life behind every life. He's the life force sitting in everybody's heart. Our hearts are beating because there's Krishna inside. Just imagine 1 minute he just steps out and that's it. We are taken to the burial ground. So Krishna here is saying, here Rukmini here, she's saying you're seated in everyone's heart. So you look at the knowledge that they had in the Dwapara Yuga. So Rukmini was already aware, where you remove completely aloof from the touch of the three modes of material nature. And I said, like I said, we are under the control of the three modes of material nature, but Krishna is above these three modes of material nature. And Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, Mamcho yovya bicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samichaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Krishna says how to overcome these three gunas. Krishna is giving us the solution in this chapter number 14, where he says, Mamcho yovya bicharena bhakti yogena. One who's always worshipping Krishna, who are chanting the holy names of Hare Krishna Mahamantra continuously, unfailing in all circumstances, not like I'm in a good mood, so I'm chanting, I'm in a bad mood, so I'm not chanting. No. Under all kind of circumstances, the person who's always chanting Krishna's name, he will be able to transcend these three modes of material nature and go to the level of Brahman. So if you want to, so Krishna is giving us this knowledge that in this material world, we are all suffering because we are being controlled by these three gunas. But how we can rise above these three gunas and enjoy nectar even in this material world is by taking to the worship of Krishna. So as we keep chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we will come under the control of Yogamaya. We'll become under the control of Krishna. So Krishna will take charge of our lives. So for a normal non-devotee, the material energy is controlling. But for a Krishna devotee, Krishna is taking control of it. And Krishna is the boss of all these three material natures. So they cannot play with Krishna's devotees. Not only that, towards the end of the life, Krishna says, a Yamaraj, when Yamaraj comes towards the end of our life, he will take our life and he'll take him to the place that we have meant to go because of all the bad karma that we have done, knowingly or unknowingly. Just like how a person who crosses the speed limit is being fined by the cops on the motorway. Similarly, the Yamaraj is giving a list of all the things that we have done, knowingly or unknowingly, all the bad things that we have done, and he's taking us to the hellish planets, or he can take us to any other planet, depending on what kind of karma that we have done in our life. But anybody who has developed this taste of Krishna Katha, everybody who has get a taste of Krishna Katha, anybody who's got the taste of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, towards the end of the life, if he can remember Krishna, because Krishna says towards the end of the life, whomever you remember, if you remember Krishna, then you go to the supreme planet of Krishna. If you remember the demigod Devatas, then Krishna says you go to the planet of the Devatas. If you remember your ancestors, you go to the planet of Yan. So whomever you remember towards the end of your life, that is where you go. And if you worship ghosts and spirit, then you will be born among such kind of a people. So the choice is yours. Krishna is giving us the knowledge in the scriptures so that we can take the right decision. And Krishna is promising that, yes, if you think of me all the time, in fact, one of the name of Krishna is called as, in Vishnu Sahasranam, is called as Gabasti Nemi. Gabasti Nemi means Krishna is holding his Sudarshana Chakra in his hand and is warning to Yamaraj that don't you ever dare come near the devotees of Krishna. So when we are taking to the worship of Krishna, that's why Krishna says the devotee of Krishna is not worried about ending his life. At any time, if a devotee of Krishna has to leave this world, he is not at all worried because he knows that he is in the careful hands of the Vishnu Dutas. He is in the careful hands of Krishna. Towards the end of life, if you're a devotee of Krishna, the Vishnu Dutas come. But if you're not a devotee of Krishna and if you've done all kind of battle, the Yamadutas come and just pull out your life and they'll just take you to where. So the choice is ours. We have beautiful stories of Ajamal, who was actually a great devotee, but fallen later. But towards the end of his life, because he called his son, whose name is Narayan, finally the Vishnu Dutas came and they stopped the Yamadutas from taking away. So this is what happens when we take to the worship of Krishna. Because Krishna is the boss of Yamaraj. So Yamaraj cannot even go against Krishna. We all know the story that when Krishna and Balaram went to his guru, Sandipani Muni's for training, Sandipan Muni is giving them training in all the arts and everything, all the military warfare and everything. And towards the end, when Sandipan Muni, we've seen that in Krishna Katha, he asked Krishna asks his guru, Sandipan Muni, Guruji, Sandipan Muni, what can I give you as Guru Dakshina? And Sandipani, we all know, he says, Krishna, my son is dead. Can you bring back my dead son alive? And Krishna says, okay, Gurudev, I will do that. And then he goes to Yamalok, he orders Yamaraj for the life to give back the life of his Guru's son. And he takes his Guru's son and puts him on the chariot and takes him back and gives it to his Guru. So this is only possible for Krishna because Krishna is even the master of Yamaraj. So Yamaraj also is working at the instructions of Krishna. So he cannot say no to Krishna at any time because he is given this job by Krishna. And here we have Krishna. So we have to, what Hari Katha does, what Krishna Katha gives us, it gives us so much of faith in Krishna. It gives us so much of mental comfort that we are in the beautiful hands of Krishna, that Krishna is our protector. Avasya Rakshabe Krishna Viswasa Palana, the faith that Krishna is there for us. You don't need to worry at all. Krishna says, right, his final signature, what he says in Bhagavad Gita, Sarvadharman Parichajya Mam Ekam Saranam Braja Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Moksha Isyami Masuchaha. Masuchaha, I guarantee you. That means where he's saying, abandon all varieties of religion, just surrender unto me, Arjuna, and I will protect you from all the sinful reactions. You don't need to worry about your bad karma. You don't need to worry about all the bad samskaras you accumulated from millions of lives. Krishna says, I'm going to cancel all your bad karma. I'm going to cancel all your samskaras. You don't need to worry. Just surrender unto me. And that surrender is just to lift your hands and say, Krishna, Tavasmi. That means, Krishna, I am yours. And just chant the holy names of Krishna. That's all we had to do to tell Krishna that I am yours. And I want to, anything that you do, you decide what's the best thing for me. Not that I don't want to tell you what I want, but I want you to tell me what you want. Because Krishna is called. And here Rukmini is saying, you say you always maintain enmity with the worldly kings, but who are the worldly kings? Rukmini is asking, who are the worldly kings? Because Krishna was earlier talking about that, Jarasandha, Shishupal, they don't like me and all that. But here Krishna, she's asking, who are these worldly kings? I think the worldly kings are the senses. And that is so true, isn't it? Can you imagine how sensible and how much of wisdom Rukmini Devi is asking? She's saying the worldly kings are actually your senses. And that is so true, isn't it? Because we are all dancing according to the tunes, the senses are making us dance like anything, isn't it? Suddenly your senses feel like, oh my God, I just need to have an ice cream. That's it. You take your car and start running to the nearest ice cream shop. Or your senses are saying, oh, I have to watch this movie. Immediately, that's it. You are just like a slave to your senses. And that's what is happening in the material world, isn't it? We are just like puppets in the hands of our senses. And that's what Rukmini Devi is saying. The actual worldly kings of our senses. They're so formidable and they control everyone. Certainly you maintain enmity with the material senses. And here when it comes to Krishna, Krishna doesn't come under the control of the senses. He's the master of the senses. Why Krishna is called as Rishikesha? Rishikesha means your master, the controller of the senses. So when we are worshipping Krishna, then we will be able to control our senses because he is the master of the senses. So when Krishna becomes happy, your senses automatically become happy. So you don't need to crave for any other things to satisfy your senses. Because in this material world, no matter how much you try to satisfy your senses, it's just like trying to put down a fire by adding more petrol. The senses are constantly craving for so many things in the material world. But the actual satisfaction comes for your senses when you are actually worshipping Rishikesha, the master of the senses, the controller of the senses. So when you are worshipping Krishna, the master of the senses, then automatically you are no more a slave to your senses because your senses are completely spiritualized now. They're no more material. Your senses have become completely spiritualized. So you're no more craving instead of when a weekend comes, whether you had to go to a shopping mall or whether you had to go to serve Krishna, once you become a devotee of Krishna, your senses are purified. So now you only wanted to go to the temple and serve Krishna rather than going to some movie or because your senses are no more material. Your senses have become spiritualized. They become completely, they got a taste, the senses have got a taste of Krishna. And which is what Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita. Visya vinivartante niraharasya dehinaha rasavarjam rasoparma param drishtva nivartate. Because the senses will keep on telling us, let's go to that shopping mall, let's go to that movie, let's go there, this is what, and it's never ending. And no matter how much you try to satisfy our senses, just like burning more petrol on the fire, it keeps on telling you to get something else. But when you start worshipping, getting a taste of the senses by experiencing a higher taste, param drishtva nivartate, when you get a higher taste of worshipping Rishikesha, that is Krishna, the controller, then your senses will be controlled. then you're no more craving to go run behind a movie there, or go for some movies, or like some enjoy some beautiful food and things like that. No more, because you're now worshiping Krishna. You want to taste Krishna prasadam. You want to enjoy chanting the holy name. This is how your senses have become spiritualized. So this is what we can learn up to now. I just want to stop here in the interest of everybody's precious time on a weekday. I know everybody's juggling so many things, and you're giving your precious 1 hour to listen to the Krishna Katha. So I want to stop over here. But beautiful takeaways about how the dealings between wife and husband, of how Krishna, rather, how Rukmini and Krishna, how they're interacting, a beautiful interaction between both of them, even though that Krishna was trying to say so many things. She was not reacting in a very angry manner. In fact, now she's downplaying herself. The goddesses of fortune, she's downplaying herself. And she's trying to tell Krishna that where Krishna is, where she is, and that he is the Supreme Lord. And not only that, whatever Krishna has told earlier to Rukmini, in order to downplay himself, saying that I'm not worthy and all these things, I'm afraid of the worldly kings. And now Rukmini is giving a proper explanation for all of that. What a beautiful way, where how she's reciprocating to Krishna, telling like who are these worldly kings, who are these worldly senses and things like that. So nicely she's telling, like, it's a beautiful way of sometimes your words can instigate the other person, the words can really hurt the other person, but so nicely to how to interact without causing anxiety to the other person, without making the other person angry, but speaking in such a beautiful way where you're trying to glorify the other person and at the same time downplaying yourself. It's a nice way, it's a beautiful way of interacting, and how Rukmini is giving all the credit to Krishna and trying to put him on the pedestal, and like, you are the Supreme Lord, you are everything, you're not afraid of all these people, you're not afraid of you're the Supreme Controller. So a very beautiful way how Krishna and Rukmini are dealing with, and it's like, as I said, every time Krishna Katha is full of nectar. The nectar keeps flowing, and then we're going to be covering the next one in the next Thursday. I want to stop over here, and I just wanted to ask for any reflections, anything that anybody would like to add, any corrections, or anything from your point of view. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, what a beautiful class, Sham Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Hare
Um,
Krishna.
just referring to what you said, um, evening soap opera. For me, this is the most beautiful evening soap opera. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Ashwin Prabhu. It's all about how we spend our life, isn't it? So this is what I mean. Many times the beauty about Sanatan Dharma is not a religion of believers, it's a religion of realization. The very
Yes.
first thing, the very
True.
first thing Krishna says, realize that you're not this body, you are an Atma. And
Yes.
realize that you're the senses are yours, but you're not the senses. Many times we identify ourselves with the senses, thinking that, oh, okay, my senses are supposed to be satisfying. My life means I have to go and enjoy this, I have to enjoy that, because that's what we are identifying ourselves with the senses. But the senses are belong to you, but you're not the senses. You are an Atma. And what Atma wants is to serve the Paramatma. And when the
Yeah.
Paramatma is none other than the Rishikesha, when Rishikesha becomes satisfied, then automatically our senses will become satisfied. So right now our
There's,
senses are running behind so many things.
there is definitely something like mystical about his leelas. Like how many times we have heard Krishna's story,
Yes.
his birth, but every time like I have to organize kids drama for a function around the birth. Like I don't know where I get that energy, and like I never lose
Hmm.
the excitement of organizing and telling that story through the kids. So
Absolutely.
I don't know what it is, and
Yeah.
just fascinates me thinking back, like how can I enjoy the same thing
Yeah.
over and over again so many times.
Absolutely. You're so right. Thanks for sharing your experience, and Ashim Prabhu. And I think that's the beauty about Krishna Bhakti. The beauty about Krishna's devotional service towards Krishna is that when we are engaged in doing anything for Krishna, Krishna gives you such kind of immense energy and power that you yourself will be astonished that how did I do this? How did I even do all these things? Because Krishna is giving you that power to do that. And because you are engaging in his service and he's sitting in your heart, so when he sees that sincere endeavor that you're doing, Ashwin Prabhu, so he's giving you all kind of energy. With your own energy, you can only do limited things. But when Krishna
Haribol.
gives you energy, you will be able to do things which you cannot imagine. The best example is our own Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada, our founder of ISKCON. our Acharya, at the age of 69 years, on the instructions of his Guru Dev, and in order to glorify Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in order to glorify Krishna, he goes all the way in a cargo ship for 38 days, in a ship, in a cargo ship, going over there with nothing in his pocket, and goes and starts a Hare Krishna movement, builds 108 temples all around the world. How is it even possible for someone at that age to do that? Because Krishna gives that energy and that power to accomplish, because he is doing everything for Krishna. Yeah, so Krishna gives you all the power. And the best example is Arjuna. Arjuna, right? Arjuna, he was so proud that he had that pride. He's the greatest archer in the world. He fought with Lord Shiva also, and he got a Pashupati Astra. Such kind of a great warrior like Arjuna was shocked that after Krishna left his body, when after Krishna left this planet, he was not able to fight against the roadside street fighters. And he tried to lift Gandiva, and even the Gandiva also was not helpful for him. And he tried to fight with the Gandiva, and they just literally defeated even Arjuna. Ordinary roadside thugs. And that is when Arjuna goes and tells his brother, Yudhishthira, he tells, my brother, I thought I was the greatest archer in the world. And I thought I was the invisible and the greatest fighter in the world. Now, after Krishna left, now I understand that all this while, this great archer, great this thing, is because Krishna is giving me that power for a purpose to win the war. And now that Krishna is gone, all the power is gone. So this is a beautiful thing, Ashim Prabhu. Very nicely, you have just mentioned that this is the thing that we have to learn from Krishna, that when we do everything as an offering to Krishna, that Krishna gives such kind of an immense power to accomplish anything, because we are doing everything for his pleasure. The whole Krishna consciousness, if you sum it up, you say, Samsiddhim Haritoshanam. Samsiddhim Haritoshanam means doing everything for the pleasure of Krishna. That is the whole idea of Krishna consciousness, not doing it for our own senses, but we are trying to satisfy the senses of Krishna, who's called as Rishikesha. Otherwise, if you see Krishna gives you a hierarchy, right, in Bhagavad Gita. Indriyani paranyahu, indriyebhya parammana, manasastu para buddhi, yo buddhe paratastu saha. Krishna says your senses are superior to the dull matter, because this body without the Atma is just like dull matter. So Krishna is saying your senses are much superior to this body, this dull matter. And your mind is still higher than the senses, and intelligence is still higher than the mind. And the soul or Atma is even higher than the intelligence. Can you imagine the soul? Because the Atma is full of Satchitananda. It's full of knowledge, full of eternity, and full of bliss. So Krishna is giving the hierarchy. Above your senses is your mind, and above your mind is your intelligence. Above the intelligence is your Atma. So the Atma is which is what we're trying to do in Krishna consciousness. We are trying to once again re-energize and develop our relationship again with Krishna, because right now the Atma is in a sleeping mode in this material world. And that is why we had this beautiful song, Vibhavari Sesha Aloka Pravesha Nidrachari Uto Jiva Bolo Hari Hari Mukunda Murari Rama Krishna Hayagriva Vibhavari Sesha Aloka Pravesha Uto. So here he's saying like Uto Jiva, the Jiva is in a sleeping state. So Krishna is this beautiful song. He's saying, Jiva Atma, Atma, wake up. Just wake up and start chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Say the beautiful names of Krishna. Because the most important in the hierarchy is the Atma is the most important thing. Next to your Atma. So the whole Krishna consciousness is all about developing your spiritual intelligence. You're making your intelligence is the main, and your Atma is also the main, not your senses. Like Rukmini Devi is saying, the senses have become the controllers, actually, which is so true, isn't it, in the material world? If your senses say, I like this, you start running behind them. So you're like a das for the senses, a servant of the senses. But we are supposed to be controllers of the senses. And that will happen when we take to spirituality, to Krishna consciousness. Thank you, Yashin Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Saurabh Prabhu, thank you for joining us. Amoga Prabhu, anything would you like to add? Sanchit Mataji. Sarup ji, Hare Krishna, thank you for
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. It was very nice. Sorry, I could only join late. I had to.
No problem, Prabhu. Every minute, even if you join for a few minutes, is precious. Your time is precious. So I'm grateful for that. So
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. It was very nice, very, very enjoyable, I must say.
It's the most very personal or intimate details, because normally what happens in Bhagavatam, you go up to don't go up to the 10th canto, takes a long while to go up to the 10th canto. But here we're directly dealing with Krishna book, which is taken from 10th canto. And we are so fortunate that we're going through the divine pastimes of Krishna with Rukmini. So we are in chapter number 60. So anything else you would like to add? Sindhu, how are you finding it?
Hey, good. This is amazing. This is my first, so
Yeah,
it is
yeah,
really
yeah.
amazing.
Thanks for joining. This is what
Thank you. Thank you.
this is what we do every Thursday. We just go through the Leelas of Krishna, and they're so fascinating, Sindhu. Like every chapter is like full of nectar, and it's so amazing to see that the Supreme Lord has so many. It's almost like talking about some supreme person, like a personality, and how Krishna is dealing with that, and how he's lifting the mountain, Govardhan Hill, and how he's jumping from a big mountain. And this he literally in Krishna's when he comes as a supreme lord, as Krishna, he shows completely that he is the supreme lord through all his leelas. So it's just so amazing.
It's lovely.
Right, well,
Thank you.
yeah, sure, Sindhu. Thanks. You joined. That's nice. Yeah, Sanchit Mataji, Saurabh Prabhu, anything would you like to add? Gayatri Ji, Namaga Prabhu.
Well, Sham Prabhu, Hare Krishna. I had a broken listening. I was late in, and then I had to go out for something, come back. So, I just have a question for you, because the energy and the enthusiasm with which you present, that, when a Sangha is doing so well for a long period of time with Krishna's blessings, Prabhupada mercy. So what is, and you as a great devotee and, servant for Prabhupada, how should that Sangha then progress over the years, when they've done, the Sangha almost right from the beginning. So what is the next step? You are a great servant. So what does the Sangha do next?
Yeah, I think for me, in my experience, I would say, like, the natural steps should be always taken, because here when we get to our mind this love for Krishna, we are developing a taste of understanding Krishna's leelas and all those things. So the next step to experience the taste of Krishna Bhakti is just to engage in devotional service, which, like, you can see, like Ashwin Prabhu is talking about how he's making his children do some of the dramas and things like that. So and we also know such Sanchita Mataji, like, nicely she's engaging her children in doing things. So I think everybody who are already doing, but just my thing to encourage them would be like, just the best way to experience this taste is everybody take up some devotional service in some form or the other. It could be doing a kirtan, or could be doing anything else, but only when you're serving Krishna, we can actually feel or experience the actual taste, and that would be the natural progression. That because in the material world, we keep trying out so many different things. I'm good at this, I'm good at that. But what I realized that in Krishna consciousness also, this is another great opportunity, or a second chance, like where we can try out so many different opportunities of doing different kind of service. So my natural this thing would be like, if everybody can try out what they're good at, what they enjoy doing for Krishna. Like, do you enjoy singing for Krishna, or do you enjoy reciting like Krishna book for Krishna, or anything like that? So that can help other devotees also to take a chance and start. And we have other Sangha, we have Akshvi Sangha also, where they can, slowly progress in taking part and doing many things. Like we have Kirtan.
I never do think yourself as different from Aksvit Sangha.
I do not think, no, I don't think, because I always feel like Akshvi Sangha, we are like one family. But what I'm saying is, like, we have the different sessions on Wednesday for Kirtan and all that. So, like, we don't have a separate Kirtan session for for this Krishna book, like we are all part of the Akshvi Sangha, right? So if you want to have the Kirtan, if you want to experience singing for Krishna or a bhajan for Krishna, then we have an opportunity to do that on Wednesday. Or if you want to just, take up to the reading Bhagavad Gita or doing any session on that, maybe we can do that on Saturday. So I'm just talking about different avenues we can make use of our satsang in trying out different ways to progress in Krishna Bhakti. That's what I mean to say.
Now, I know I'm drawing like a material example, and it's very different because that's for material benefits, although it is a material service for people. Like, for for example, when somebody trains for 6 years to become a doctor, they train very intensely.
Yeah.
And then they're out in the world to serve sick, unwell people. So then it transpires into service.
Yeah.
Although that is material at a bodily platform.
Yeah.
But even then, at spiritual level, when you've trained for so many years, how do you? A doctor doesn't serve less intensely; they're at full intensity, whether they work full time or part time. Their job is tough. Everybody's job is tough, but they just serve. They have to serve, and in other professions also.
Yeah,
that is just an example.
Yeah.
So that's why I asked the question.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's a very relevant question. Yeah, it's a very relevant question, Chaudhary Prabhu, because we like how we plan our careers and say like, okay, 5 years from in the material we ask people and they say like, years from now I want to be a director, 10 years from now I want to retire, like earn this much of money and retire. So people have goals like short-term goals and all. But when it comes to spiritual life, I mean, I again, like I always say, Chaudhary Prabhu, you're one person I will never forget in my life because you are the one who got me onto this satsang, and you are the one who gave me so many opportunities for doing bhajans and doing Bhagavad Gita, and that's how I progress. Personally, I want to just thank you because you are the one who gave me all the opportunity, and you always pushed me. You encouraged me and said, like, you used to give me a new bhajan. I never heard about the bhajan also. But one thing from my personal experience, I used to say yes for everything and then learn and just do the bhajan or do the Bhagavad Gita. I think one
learn from you, Prabhu. So that's all, by the way. But I'm here to learn and hear and learn from you.
No, Prabhu. I'm a man of gratitude. I always feel very grateful, and I always remember you. And I keep telling people, even though they don't know about you. I mean, some people who even in Mandir also, I tell them like sometimes I'm always grateful to my devotees who got me into this line. But I think one of the things that we can always play a big role in Krishna consciousness is to reach out to a wider audience, or reach out to more people and try to bring Krishna conscious to more number of people. So in my own humble effort, let's say on the love feast, when sometimes they ask me, can you speak in the love feast, like, to a larger gathering? So I just take the opportunity and just go ahead and speak, because I want to just my life, like, can I just contribute in a bigger way? Can I just go and give a speech in the love feast about Bhagavad Gita? Or similarly, or just somebody was asking, can you speak Bhagavad Gita in a satsang in Harrow? And I just took the opportunity and went and spoke about Bhagavad Gita in Harrow satsang. So like that, just be ready with all your knowledge. As Krishna says, armed with yoga, oh Arjuna, stand up and fight. So similarly, be prepared with all the spiritual knowledge that Krishna is giving you in Bhagavad Gita, and be prepared with all the beautiful leelas of Krishna, and be prepared with everything, so that as we keep learning and progressing more, Krishna will give so many opportunities. And because seeing your own eagerness and enthusiasm to serve, and we should snatch every opportunity that Krishna gives, in order to serve my wider this, because there's so many people. When I see in the YouTube and I see some of the people, there's so many people are craving for knowledge. I think India right now is going, or especially Sanatan Dharma is going to a renaissance, where people are looking forward to again gain spiritual knowledge from the monks and from the people who are ready to step up and just share the knowledge, and they're eager to listen. And so this is, I think, the perfect time for all Krishna Bhaktas to just reach out to a wider audience and spread this knowledge and give everybody a taste. And the most important thing, what I realized is, it's just not about telling people, but just asking them to repeat. And this is why in the manner we are making everybody recite one sloka of Bhagavad Gita, every visitor, so that they leave the temple with a taste that yes, we can do one sloka, So that will give them the confidence. Yes, not bad actually. I could do a sloka, so maybe I can do more. I can go home and study, maybe, So give them that taste, like a taster. So I think that's very important. So to your point, Sarah Prabhu, the long term would see like to reach out to more people and spread our, because we had the best philosophy, the best knowledge. It's just about reaching out.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Sanchit Machaji, I hope it was okay, all okay?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yeah, I was listening to the conversation. Very nice, and like your endeavors, really. I mean, from Akshabit Sangha, and thanks to Saurabh Prabhu for introducing us, and then from here you're taking this platform so seriously, learning all the shlokas, remembering them, using them as reference, like not in the Sangha, of course, what you do across the platforms, like in temple, manor, other places, serving Srila Prabhupada's disciples. So Lord has definitely given you that opportunity to thrive and be one of his Prabhupada's soldier to take the next steps. So all glories to your wonderful service, Prabhu. Yeah, and in terms of your realization of today's katha, so I felt like really appreciating how Rukmini Devi, like how Krishna was telling all that, what he said, like we discussed, heard in the last sessions, as a joke, and to just, maybe tempt her materially to react or get angry or be cross or argue, counter argue. But we see how her senses were so transcendental in like the argument she's giving for each and every point that Krishna had made, that I am like, nothing, I was scared of Jarasandh. And then she says like, who are the kings? So like this beautiful counter argument she's giving. So it's very nectarian to listen, and it's very blissful. And the way you deliver it is, of course, like we just want to listen to. Yeah, of course, as you mentioned that Srimad Bhagavatam we are doing, but like it's a big thing, 18,000 shloks, and it takes each long to go through the cantos and the verses and deep diving into them. But that's why Prabhupada, like he's been such a visionary to make this Krishna book. He knew that, this will attract more devotees. It will like they get the taste of Krishna, to know Krishna's life. So this book is available, and we are so thankful to Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, and that we are discussing, be able to participate in the katha is, gives us some like transcendental credits as well. So thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Sanchitji, for your kind words. I'm not worthy of it, but I mean, we are all in sharing with each other, and just, I mean, I have immense respect for you and your family on how much you are nicely training the children. Also, it's so beautiful, two lovely children that you have, and how nicely they are contributing, and so joyfully they're taking part in some of the Krishna's activities, events that are happening in Manor. So that's so remarkable, and I'm so pleased with the way you're bringing up the children. Actually, they are my best friends. Like we are, whenever I see them, I'm so joyful and feel so happy seeing Pulbasha. And so thanks so much. We are always sharing with each other, and I get so excited when I have to share with all our devotees. And let's continue doing this beautiful Harikatha. And next week we are going to continue with the remaining thing. The beauty about Krishna is that unlike people who are always thinking about God, like God is going to punish us, but here you can see through the Srimad Bhagavatam that God has such a beautiful side. He's having a joking with his wife. He's so much beautiful personality. He's so loving. He's so caring. And this is what we have to understand, that God is not there someone to punish us, but he's such a lovely best friend. He says, Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam. I'm your best friend, your best well-wisher. So that's the way we have to look at Krishna, that he's our best well-wisher and our best friend. And that's how we'll be able to enjoy the nectar. So I want to thank everyone for giving your precious time. And we're going to kind of resume again next week, continue with the nectar that's flowing in, and then we will taste more and more nectar in the coming weeks. Thank you so much. Let's do a final one. All glories to Prabhupada. There's how much of nectar Prabhupada has given. Vanchakalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyavacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you very much.
Let's all please unmute quickly and say 3 loud Hari Bols to Prabhu. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari
Hari Bol.
Thank you so
All
much.
glories to your service, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Shri Guru, all glories to Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.